Geek Shock. Geek Shock.
Yeah. I'm good either way, but you're invited.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah. So yeah, a little bit of, you can't leave Mandalay Bay and take a left. I'd take a right and go all the way down to practically Russell and then turn around and drive back the other way, and then it's all stop and go traffic because
Really?
all the narrow lanes are narrowed. So it was a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, that, I saw a picture of is it because of the crime scene?
Yeah. That's the crime scene.
Speaking of crime scene, welcome to Geek Shock DIY.
Woohoo!
Where Andy and I are stranded and all alone in the wilds of the podcast universe.
Yeah.
Recording on our little recorder, Andy's little recorder.
On my journalist recording device.
His journalist recording device.
It's great for like copying interviews, but probably the sound quality has dropped considerably.
Well,
do we do the whole announcement?
Do the whole announcement?
Yeah, do I get to say who I am?
Todd died in surgery.
Yes.
Jeff killed himself in grief. And
right.
Matt has been promoted and doesn't need the checks from Geek Shock anymore.
I just meant the part with their names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I am Commander K.
And I'm Fact Check Andy.
And we're here on Geek Shock to tell you what to read, what to watch, and what to play as my computer dies.
You killed it.
Yes. This is going on. This whole project is going along swimmingly.
Right. We've killed 3 pieces of electronics and started much later than I intended to.
True enough. Well,
it's practically Wednesday already.
That's because of the tragedy that occurred on Sunday night. First of all, condolences to all the people who lost loved ones in the shooting, and sympathies for everyone who, and good wishes for everyone who is healing after being injured in the attack. Dubbed the worst shooting in U.S. history, although it's kind of interesting because somebody has pointed out that there are a few non-military Indian massacres that might actually qualify as worst mass shootings in American history. But I wanted to, first of all, it's the elephant in the room.
Right.
And I wanted to comment on it for that reason, but also to reflect on social media in this interaction, because that's where I got almost everything when it happened. And it just started blowing up. You guys, you and Matt and Major Matt and his wife, Matt's wife Paulette, had actually, how long were you gone?
Oh, I was still on the way back. My phone started blowing up on the way back from here.
Yeah,
so
because you got caught in the traffic as soon as they started shutting things down.
Well, I actually pulled over to see what the hell was going on, and then realized that the traffic was going to be bad, so I went around it. But it did take me a couple hours to get home.
Jeez, Andy lives...
I live 20 minutes away.
Yeah, strategically, geographically speaking, Andy lives on the other side of Mandalay Bay, where the shooting occurred, and my house. So he basically had that major crossing to go through. You had that crossing to go through.
Yeah, so I ended up driving way south of it and cutting down by Blue Diamond Road. But I actually hung out...
Blue Diamond?
Well...
Good Lord, that is...
I was playing it safe. Well, and as it turned out, as I drove back up, I went down and drove the Cater from there. And going up the Cater, I passed Russell and the 215 were both closed off, which were both the two I'd thought about taking before that. So I did make the right decision, because the roads I was planning on taking were gone.
Wow.
So, yeah, normally on Geek Shock we sort of gloss over this quickly, and because we're here to be the clowns that amuse you while crazy bad things are happening, but this is right in the middle of our stuff.
Well, it's in the middle of our stuff, and also, one comment I wanted to make was, I of course went to Facebook. That's where I actually heard it was beginning to happen, and then I turned on the TV, turned on the local news, and I was like watching local local news. Yeah, the locals, and also reading on Facebook, and people were talking about police scanner posts on Twitter, things like that, and there was the usual. Oh my God, what's going on? And a bit of hysteria. But one of the things that I was actually kind of impressed with when this all happened, impressed with social media, was I felt there was a certain level of people who were willing to accept clarification and correction, because there was screaming of multiple shooters at multiple properties.
Right.
Everything's getting closed down. People don't know what's going on. And as we begin to say, no, there are 2 shooters at Mandalay Bay. And then within an hour of that, police have announced there was 1 shooter. They got him.
And 2 shooters is actually not unreasonable, considering he was shooting from 2 different windows.
That was a large sweep. I heard that there was like a 40-foot spread between... He knocked out 2 windows on the 32nd floor of Mandalay Bay, and then started shooting down into the concert goers who are across Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yeah, kind of kitty corner.
Yeah. If you've ever been to Las Vegas Boulevard, of course, is the heart of the Las Vegas Strip.
That whole venue stretches basically from the driveway of Mandalay Bay, well, across the street, but between east of Las Vegas Boulevard. But it stretches from the driveway of Mandalay Bay, which is the edge of Mandalay Bay, all the way through almost Tropicana. It's a huge venue.
And for one visual reference for people who have been to Vegas, it's the abandoned Ferris wheel pillars.
A lot of people who live here don't recognize those are there, but those, I have some weird inside information on it, because a friend of mine was here for a convention and was staying down below. She was on the 6th floor, a couple hundred feet away.
In Mandalay Bay?
In Mandalay Bay.
Jesus.
And she knows her guns, and she heard it start off, and she immediately knew it was automatic weapons.
That, just to briefly interject, a couple of my friends who, I love them dearly, but are prone to hysterics, on Facebook were like, oh my God, automatic weapons, it's just crazy. And that was my skepticism. It's like, come on, guys. And then I saw that first Twitter video that somebody had posted, and I was like, sweet Jesus, that is automatic. That was really fast. That's almost impossibly fast for semi-automatic fire. Okay.
So, yeah. And she also, last year, she's a computer person, so she had actually been at this, stayed in that suite. Not that particular suite, but that kind of suite. She'd been upgraded for reasons she had to figure out, but so she knew that length was actually 1 suite. And she immediately went online and looked up to see if there was a police scanner thing, and found the Las Vegas Metro Police Scanner, which you can just listen to online and listen. Right. She actually listened to them. The whole thing. She listened to them breaking into the hotel room and everything.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah. So.
Jesus. Yeah, now rumors I've heard was this guy set up like surveillance equipment so he could see the police coming down the hallway or coming to the door.
That makes sense.
I read that he shot through the door once, injuring a police officer.
Injuring a security guard.
And then, of course, committed suicide. There were like 17 weapons or something like that.
I heard 10, but maybe I haven't looked at the...
I heard that there was a shitload. One of the interesting things was he apparently had some form of AK, Kalashnikov, mounted on some kind of tripod thing to steady his fire.
Okay.
Which blows him out. That was one of the news things that I had read. It wasn't a person relating a... But anyway, like back to my original point, I was actually impressed because when people would shoot out updates and everything, people would be like, "Oh, okay, good to know that's what's going on." The chief thing I'm referring to is the person of interest, Mary Lou Danley,
Right.
Because a lot of us, including me, posted on Facebook that the police were looking for her because one of her player cards was found in the man's room.
Right.
And it turns out that they're roommates or friends or something.
Sounds like they're dating.
Yeah. And he actually just had her player's card with him and was using it while gambling in the 3 days that he was prepping for this attack.
Right.
Because she was actually found, I believe it was Tokyo. She was found out of the country in Tokyo. Yeah, and she will be interviewed, I believe, when she gets back. But at this point, the Metro has ruled out, I think, that she was involved in any way.
Yeah, no, I think that she's been ruled out.
And people accepted that. Like when I started spreading it, and other people, because people started like wildfire, just going, this is who we're looking for. And I mean, there was some really grim shit. There was somebody who was like, they're looking for you, Mary Lou. You better be ready. And as soon as word got out, well, okay, now she was out of the country and they don't think she was involved. Actually, people began to cool off, which was actually a good thing to see.
I gotta say, I'm impressed with the lack of craziness. Considering, I would have expected a lot more craziness. There's a lot less hyperbole. There's some people saying stupid stuff, but
one of
the amount of stupid stuff being said is much lower than I would have expected.
Yeah, and I think one of the things to attribute to that, sadly and tragically, is we're beginning to adjust to the social media age of mass shootings, mass killings, tragedy of that nature.
Well, my friend Celestia posted the Breaking News Consumer's Handbook.
I shared it too.
Yeah, and it's really, really good. Which lists, I don't know if we may have posted this on Shockmonkey's Lair, but it's in the immediate aftermath, news outlets will get it wrong. Don't trust anonymous sources. Don't trust stories that cite other news outlet as a source of information. Stuff like that. I mean, it seems like pretty basic, logical stuff, but it's stuff that when this happens, we all sort of forget because we're all caught up. And for some reason, we need to know more than, we want to know the details behind things. We want to know why this happened. And it's, the initial reports are making it sound like just craziness.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it came kind of out of left field. Again, my friend who was there underneath it said she'll be amazed if they, when they perform the autopsy, if they don't find the tumor.
Yeah,
like the Virginia Tech guy had a brain tumor.
Now, there is a little family history here. I actually received a text from a friend who lives in Arizona who was shocked to discover that he's friends with the brother, or a brother, of the shooter. The brother disassociated himself from that family, the shooter's family, when years ago, decades ago, apparently the shooter's father was a bank robber.
Oh.
And was, I haven't read up on any details, but was described in my friend's text as something of a psychopath.
Oh, good.
I mean, it was just really, really, it was bad enough that when the family decided to support the father through his travails as he was being a bank robber and was on the FBI's most wanted list, the brother disassociated himself from the family and actually has been estranged for years, decades, no contact with them. So there is that angle too. I don't know where that's going to lead to or
right.
come from, but
the point is, this clearly looks like it's one guy.
It is
one guy, and
that ISIS.
We will eventually figure out what the heck happened.
Yeah. And ISIS claimed him anyway.
Of course they did.
Said he was a recent convert and,
right.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Which is
Muhammad.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So yeah, but we're all safe. All the Geek Shock people are safe.
I personally don't know anyone who got hurt.
I know somebody was in it, and she was not hurt, but she was interviewed on the news.
Yeah, there were a lot of injured too. When I heard the over 500 injured, I assumed that the majority of that was panic, trembling.
Sure, yeah.
But apparently he scored he scored a lot of hits.
It was fish in a very overcrowded barrel.
Yeah, and he did. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Strip went into lockdown.
Yes, it did.
I had friends, my gaming group, the Gatekeepers gaming group I mentioned, they actually were shooting off texts, and that's actually part of how I discovered what the hell was going on, because the MGM went into lockdown.
Right.
People were, and for Scoops, we had read on Facebook that Audio Jacob was in Caesars when it went into lockdown.
Right.
So even as far north as Caesars, for those people who are familiar with Vegas and the Strip, hotels were in lockdown.
Yeah. I guess because everyone's a little panicky and they don't know if it's a concert. It's a, wow, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's a
Conspiracy?
No.
No?
Yeah, never mind. Skip it.
Okay.
Whether it was a bunch of people working together, it was a
Orchestrated
orchestrated attack or not. And this was on top of a whole bunch of actual ISIS attacks, or maybe they were just claiming those too.
Yeah.
There's like 3 or 4 across the country, across the world, rather.
Right. Or truck attacks.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And we've honestly, Vegas has sort of been braced for this for a while. We are a pretty big target.
Yes, actually, a lot of us are surprised nothing has happened beforehand.
Right. We're surprised that it hasn't been an actual, extremist attack from. Yeah, well, obviously it's an extremist attack. I'm trying to avoid the word Muslim extremist, but I guess
Well, I remember a lot of people being chilled by the reports that there was video footage of Vegas in 9/11 hijackers' possession when they searched their homes and apartments and stuff, their safe houses, because we were obviously one of the points of interest.
Well, they also stayed here too right before they went on there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Their last hurrah.
Last hurrah.
Go see a Vegas hooker before you get your 72 virgins.
All right.
So, but that's essentially the report that we have on Vegas. So
we're at. That was about 17 minutes of us being really depressing.
17 minutes?
So we should probably mark this somewhere that, I can skip the first 17 minutes if we want to hear the sad depressing stuff. And then
we'll get right into the interesting stuff.
The weird stuff. I want to talk about Hefner.
Hefner?
Yeah. Because,
okay.
His magazine is obviously well known, but what's not as well publicized is the fact that he started off as a aspiring cartoonist.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. And I actually saw some of his. I went looking for his cartoons, and he wasn't good enough to become a professional cartoonist, but he was, trying. He might have gotten there if he'd stuck with it. But what he was doing was. He was doing like almost slice of life. He was Harvey Picaring it before Harvey Picar, but he was doing very light stuff. He was going through his high school friends and sort of telling the stories of his high school friends, what was going on with them. And I guess he started putting in sort of scrapbook stuff and adding in photos and writing little stories. And eventually it sort of segued to where he was, realized he was becoming a magazine person, and then started the Empire. He also was really supportive of cartoonists. Some really amazing cartoonists were published regularly in Playboy.
It's really funny. I mean, as a kid, as a college person, I had a subscription. I certainly had my era of tons of Playboy stuff, and a lot of the cartoons are what actually stick out in my head in remembering the magazines.
Right.
Because he did support. He supported all. I mean, of course, it was in his interest to have a whole First Amendment.
He's a very major First Amendment advocate, but
and that's in his business interest. But I think also in terms of commentary, political satire, the cartooning aspect of it, there was a big push on his part.
Yeah. And then my son pointed out that, I don't know if he's ever seen a Playboy or not, because who actually has, who has actual porn magazines anymore in their possession? But he pointed out that Hefner probably had a pretty huge effect on the world, not just because the sex thing, but because when the internet started, it was like, eventually very much driven by sex.
Yeah.
Which we'd kind of gotten used to because Hefner had, broken loosened the lid on that particular jar.
Sure.
So.
Playboy, the magazines, and then the video revolution, and then eventually the home video revolution, I should say, and then the internet itself.
Yeah.
Just each one building one on top of the other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and
the little cocktail girl cartoons and the jokes, drew those. And still draws them for. I don't know if he still does, but if he still can't remember if he's alive.
Oh wait! Oh shit! I know who this is. Who?
Leroy Neiman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
But you don't think it was a cartoonist?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No. I remember when he did. I guess it would have been 76. What was 76? The Montreal? Were those the Montreal games?
Oh, okay. I don't know.
He did a whole
76 Placid?
Could have been. I can't.
Man, we need Jeff here to sit here.
Yeah, I know to whip stuff up. But he did a whole bunch of. I mean, he did a whole range of sports stuff. In
we was doing sports stuff all the time. Yeah.
And I remember the explosion of his poster. It kind of went mainstream. He kind of got very popular. And then, of course, culminating in the Rocky 3 or Rocky 4.
One of the Rocky movies. Yeah.
One of the Rocky movies where, boom, Rocky gets a Leroy Neiman.
Yep. Which Stallone probably owns to this day, I would imagine.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. But, and the joke about, I read it for the articles.
Right.
Some really good articles in there.
No, there was actually some cutting edge journalism in, at least as I remember, from the 70s.
Yeah.
I remember my brother talking to my mother about a Jimmy Carter interview that was apparently pretty important.
Yes, the one where he said that he lusted in his heart.
Right.
Yeah.
He did what Americans demand of their politicians. He told the truth and was honest. And a lot of people...
Do we demand that?
Well, yeah,
sure we do.
That's what people say. Oh, if they're just honest, I'll forgive them. So he was honest and said even though he was a born-again Christian, he did look upon women with lust in his heart at times. And boom, I remember one, I forget who it was, but one of his campaign people in later remembrances said Carter was slaughtering Ford in the polls, and that interview made it a horse race.
Ah, interesting.
And tightened up the race on the part for Ford, which was just sort of like, what happened to honesty, Americans?
Yeah.
I thought you wanted that. So
clearly we don't.
Well, I mean, clearly now, definitely.
The post-truth presidency here.
Post-truthiness.
Yeah.
I have a news some people may not give a shit about. I actually do. So, but I just read, literally today, I think Deadline reported it. I got it off of the IO9 aggregator. James Cameron has announced that Kate Winslet will be playing a character in some of the Avatar sequels.
Okay.
And I care about it because I love Kate Winslet. She's one of my favorite actresses.
She gonna hog the goddamn door again?
That would just be great. She just has to let go of Sam Worthington and let him drift away somewhere. Well, it's unobtainium, so he'd just drift away into the sky.
Right.
But
tie the stupid diamond to a piece of unobtainium and let it float up.
Float up. Just release it and just watch it go up in the air.
Be free, Diamond.
Yeah, but she I like to joke she has some of the biggest balls in Hollywood because some of the roles that she's taken have been so bold.
Okay, tell me, because I can't picture
Kate Winslet?
I'm trying to picture.
Well, not only Titanic, but she Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a great movie, yeah.
Yeah, she's fantastic in that. And it's funny, here I am talking about how I love her, and I'm totally...
You're blanking out.
It was Hamlet. And
Hamlet 2 Electric Boogaloo?
I know. Oh, God damn it. It's either Branagh... I'm recording on my phone as well, so I can't just hop on my phone.
Oh, all right. You keep jabbering about whatever
it's either,
I'm looking up.
It's either Hamlet with Kate Winslet. It's either Kenneth Branagh's or Mel Gibson's Hamlet. Because she was Ophelia in one, and Helena Bonham Carter was Ophelia in the other. And she was, I'm pretty sure it's Kenneth Branagh. But she was great in that. I remember watching her and just being transfixed.
Kenneth Branagh.
Branagh, okay.
Yeah.
And she looked amazing. And then when she plays Ophelia after she's gone, after she's lost it and kind of gone mad.
Like right out of the gate, practically. But
yeah. That was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She was just an amazing performance, and all of the stuff that she's done over the years has been amazing. She's one of the best of her generation.
So do we have any idea what she's going to play?
He called her character Ronal.
Ronal. That sounds kind of like she might be one of the big blue guys.
You know what? Could entirely be either that or it's
one of the Na'vi. I remember the name now.
Na'vi. Yeah, which apparently it will have Jake and Neytiri, their characters, but also their kids. And the struggle against the colonialism of the humans and the planet and the things.
So we're going to see some time passage here.
Yeah, apparently. It will be 2020, I guess, when the first one comes out. And then there'll be a quick succession. He's planning 4 of those fuckers.
Yeah,
I don't mind because that first Avatar was visually amazing.
Visually amazing, yes.
Yes.
And we all rushed out to see it because it was visually amazing. Yeah. Visually amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to see it again because I've done it.
Right. I know. Well, when my dad was sick, I actually put it on for him, but I really didn't watch it myself.
Right.
But and that was here on home DVD.
Mm-hmm.
He was just watching it on the projection TV, and he was just that was an amazing looking movie.
Yeah, it was one of the first ones where they got the 3D was amazing too.
3D, well, and that's because Cameron, whatever you want to say about him, the fucker knows how to shoot a movie.
Yeah.
And he really, I mean, he knows film so well, he knew how to do 3D.
Mm-hmm.
The Avatar, one of the things that I like about it also is the color palette.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Na'vi thing was just gorgeous in some of the scenes that they were filming and everything, the planetary scenes. And color palette is one of the things that excites me right now about certain movies, like just the posters of Thor Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that movie. I don't even need that first trailer.
Mm-hmm.
That was just like, holy shit, that really made you sit up. Just those posters. Beautiful 4-color affairs that, of course, have more than 4 color,
mm-hmm.
but they evoke that stunning palette that is what made comic books so flash and dazzle for kids way back when. Those posters alone make me want to see that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I can hardly wait to
Did you ever see Dick Tracy in the theaters?
Yes, I did.
In the theaters, though.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Because that was the first one I remember them really trying to go for a color palette,
Right. It was funny too because Tracy, they'd go back and forth and they'd use color to like punctuate things. Like I remember scenes where everything is drab except for a couple of elements,
right,
to make it bold and everything.
Anywhere there was color, it was limited to 6 very specific colors.
Yeah. But and that was visually striking. And that's one of the things about film that I personally would like people to take advantage of. I know people poo-poo and wah-wah over CGI and stuff like that, but I do think film is ultimately visual.
Well, they did, it depends on how you use the tool. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I've seen shots of that with the original, with the raw footage, and then what they did, the sort of sepia tone they
the wash
put onto it, and that really does change the look and feel of the whole thing.
Right, and I heard that Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is where they started doing that, because one of the big things now is teal washing that a lot of people are talking about. I just watched Wonder Woman on Blu-ray the other night, and the teal wash to sort of convey that, oh, look, this is the beginning of the 20th century. And we kind of associated that kind of washy colorness now with that, sort of like with Saving Private Ryan, where they that was really the precedent.
Back in the old days, there wasn't any color.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because juxtaposed with Wonder Woman, which was set during World War I, I've actually seen a series of pictures, color pictures from World War I, which really changes. I mean, you tend to forget that most of the time when you look at black and white for people in the modern age like us, you almost get you almost feel like, oh, an overcast day. Right. It's another, every single day in the early 20th century and 1800s was an overcast day. And then you see a colorized or color actual, because they did have it way back then, color photo, which you're just like, wow.
Yeah, they actually developed some color photo techniques much earlier than I thought. They didn't use it a lot because it's expensive and hard to do. But
right. I mean, that was
there are some much older color photos than you expect them to be. Now, when I was working at Excalibur way back when, I remember pitching to some people trying to get them to get a caricature done. And they go, oh, no, we just got our old-timey photo done. We're kings and queens. But we got it in black and white because that's more authentic. I'm like, what? Well, the cowboy days didn't have much color, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I like that. More authentic that way. Speaking of Wonder Woman and color, one of the interesting featurettes on the Blu-ray.
I thought I derailed you. All right, carry on.
Nope, I got you. Ha-ha, I win. The photo that you see in Batman vs. Superman of her with the World War I people was an actual, it was not CGI. It was an actual authentic glass pane daguerreotype. And they actually shot that photo months before they shot that scene. Okay. They shot the photo.
Well, that must have been a nightmare trying to match it up to the footage.
Yeah. Well, actually, the footage and everything, they did a good job on, because they had that all planned out. It was really funny. The interview, the guy looks like the type of guy who would specialize in taking glass pane daguerreotype photo types. He has
a handlebar mustache,
sideburns down to his nipples.
All right, nipple sideburns.
Yeah, he actually had a beard that was split to the sides and just went all the way down to the side, and then I don't mean historically looks like. I mean he looks like the type of
looks
guy.
Like the kind of hipster would spend a lot of time trying to do something that's a lot easier to do with modern stuff.
Exactly. And he had the whole setup. He had the box camera. He had the whole box. You insert the glass. You pull out the cover for the pane. Then you remove the cap. Everybody holds still. They took a couple of shots. Gal Gadot is showing her model background because they actually talked about how her picture, her face is very sharp and clear, and everyone else has a little bit of move to them, so they blur just a little bit. And then,
which actually works. The first time I saw those photos, I didn't recognize the actors.
Right, and Zack Snyder and Patty Jenkins were actually talking about that and saying, you know what, we kind of like the effect of the blur. It kind of says these guys are in history. She's still here. Right. So they liked the creative choice from that happy accident. But it was very, very nice. It was very, very interesting.
Yeah. So, I don't have a news I don't give a shit about. I'm sorry. I just couldn't. Nothing struck me.
You care too much, Andy.
I do.
You just want to care about everything.
I want to care about.
So, well, Blade Runner 2049 this weekend. Yeah. This weekend.
Ragnarok comes out pretty soon too, right?
November 2nd.
I always want that to be sooner than it is.
Oh my God, I can't
don't Trump.
wait. I can't wait.
Don't Trump.
Oh, okay. But I just can't wait. I just cannot wait. Yep. I'm so looking forward to that.
So we got this all. It's this the do-it-yourself version. We got all screwed up. We missed any geeky things you did this week.
Right. Well, you mean aside from our D&D game where we had a big old fight against Drow?
Yeah, we kicked some Drow ass.
Yep, you did. I actually, they have 4 settings In the settings, you like that?
Settings.
In the Dungeon Master's Guide for calculating the challenge rating of an encounter. Easy, medium, hard, deadly. And this one, I actually took the hard challenge rating for a couple levels higher than your group is, than you guys are. And I toned the characters down just a bit. And you guys actually tore right through them. I think I'm going to start moving into deadly territory and see what I can do, because you guys are... and I've made a few other decisions when you guys get magic items and stuff. Whenever we meet, we'll see about pushing the envelope in terms of stuff to do with you guys. But, so it's kind of sad because I don't even know if we're going to get to meet the next weekend or two. It's going to be kind of tough.
Yeah.
So, but there was that game. And I watched Wonder Woman at home, and that led to why not watch Batman versus Superman? So I watched that again. I still
doesn't bother you.
Still doesn't bother me too terribly much. I'm okay. They're not fantastic, but they're okay. And I still think that they know what they're going to do with the Justice League.
I sort of semi-watched some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. while I was doing other stuff. I've already watched it all before, but I'm flipping through, sort of working on stuff and watching it and looking up when I see my favorite parts.
Repeating it over again?
Yeah. I kind of want to watch up to the point where... I kind of want to watch up to the point where the big, I'm trying, it's 4 or 5 years back and I'm still not trying to screw up but where the big shift in the series happens. I want to watch up to where that is and then watch the movie that relates to it, that
Winter
the shift
Soldier?
connected to, yeah.
Yeah, that I heard, I didn't know this for sure, but I heard that actually Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s numbers are low enough that there was a contemplating canceling it, and
they got saved.
What is it? They got saved.
They got saved.
So, I was kind of sad. I mean, I don't care about ratings anymore because I do all the binge watching and everything. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to watch it on Netflix when it comes out on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're keeping it because I'm enjoying it. I still enjoy that series the most.
I haven't watched Inhumans yet, but the reviews I've seen of it don't look great.
Yeah. The movie premiere thing came and went, and I didn't even see that. So I'd like to catch Inhumans, but no, I haven't seen it. Yeah. So my other note that I want to bring up: the Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Bundle of Holding. Bundle of Holding is something run by DriveThruRPG.com. That is a game store that actually sells and markets PDFs of games, so you can actually get your stuff online. So, you have just about any book, any series, any group, or anything actually does a PDF in addition to a hardcover release. And DriveThruRPG is where you can go and get those PDFs for game stuff. And Lamentations of the Flame Princess is doing a bundle, and there are literally hundreds of dollars of PDFs bundled into a pay what you want. And it's pay what you want, but they also have their price break things. So if you pay over $27, you'll get this amount of games versus
It's like pay what you want. That sounds like...
Yeah, they call it pay what you want because you can actually pay what you want.
Sounds like rough guidelines.
But it is rough guidelines. And I support it incredibly. Lamentations is doing incredibly cutting-edge work, I think.
All right, well, it's been a while since you've talked about them. Explain what the Lamentations of the
OSR, old school renaissance in D&D gaming, started out with people wanting to play D&D. A lot of this came in reaction to 4th edition, which was such a radical departure from what they were doing. And a lot of people were like, you know what? All the D&D I need is in the 1974 edition or the 1970s, early editions and stuff. And because of 3rd edition's open gaming license, a few business people did a little bit of a push and actually got the open gaming license, which was a way for third-party publishers to publish D&D adventures with Wizards of the Coast approval. They actually pushed it so that it wasn't just 3rd edition, but 2nd edition, AD&D, old D&D, all of that it applied to. And with that precedent set, you started getting reprints or printings of what they called the retro clones, which were like Swords and Wizardry or Osric, which were all different, updated, reformatted, nice modern layout versions of the old game systems. Lamentations of the Flame Princess is a D&D OGL game, but it actually has a lot of its own type of interpretations and rule sets for D&D, that it has become its own kind of D&D game. And it emphasizes a simpler style of mechanics, simpler mechanics. It's also a much more lethal approach. And that's reflected in the art design. The art design is stunning depictions of adventurers just getting melted by oozes or torn apart by monsters. But it's a very metal approach to D&D, and with a heavy emphasis on the weird. H.P. Lovecraft and a lot of the weird from that kind of element of pulp fiction.
You made me think of the Call of Cthulhu RPG. Because that was one of the things I really liked about that RPG, is that people could not get attached to their characters,
right? Because
it's in the Lovecraft universe. You're either going to go die or go insane.
Yeah. And in Lamentations, it's hardcore along those lines. The encounters are not meant to be balanced. We're like, this is a good encounter for 4th level adventurers. You have to analyze it and figure out, should I get out of this or should I not? And this is where you had the stunning award-winning Red and Pleasant Land, which was Zach Smith's melding of Alice in Wonderland with Vampire Wars, basically Dracula versus Elizabeth Bathory in a Wonderland-type setting. Included in this bundle is the award-winning Blood in the Chocolate, which is Keel Chenier's version, almost of Red and Pleasant Land, in that it's Willy Wonka-ish.
That's
so
bizarre.
It's a metal, hard, weird D&D game that takes place in a Willy Wonka kind of candy-producing world, but it's very explicit. James Raggi, who's the publisher of Lamentations, when somebody said, well, it's more mature D&D, he actually joked, well, I wouldn't say mature, let's say explicit. Veins in the Earth, which is by Patrick Stewart, is, the ice rings out, is also included in the bundle. Patrick is an up-and-coming RPG designer and writer, and he's doing incredibly inventive, incredibly imaginative work. And that's part of the bundle, and Broodmother Sky Fortress, and a whole number of different wonderful, wonderful games. And a lot of these games, they're so damn good, I actually would advocate people reading them just for reading them. You don't even necessarily have to get them to play them. And for $27, $28, you get a host of PDFs, an amazing lineup of games. And these bundles of holdings actually do a whole variety of different game systems at different times. It's something good to get in on. They'll even do like Call of Cthulhu and those types of games as well. So keep in mind for a bundle of holding, if you Google that and Lamentations +2, the plus sign, the number 2, because this is the second Lamentations bundle of holding that they've done. Take a look for it and pick up those games if you get the chance, because it is some truly amazing stuff.
All right. So I went back while you were talking. I went online because you said Elizabeth Bathory, And I'm wrong. So I whatever source I first read about her in listed his name as Elsbeth Bathory. And I've always said Elsbeth Bathory. And,
really?
and I just went looking through, and there is no Elsbeth Bathory.
Right. Isn't it? I guess it's actually probably more closer to like what
Vlad Dracul?
Gary Oldman was saying in the Coppola Dracula when he would call her Elisabetta. That was his wife that Winona Ryder is like the newer incarnation of.
I've never seen that one.
You haven't? Andy, that's an incredibly visually lush movie.
Is it? Okay.
One of Coppola's...
It is Oldman.
Oldman is fantastic. Just an amazing, over-the-top, wonderful performance.
Now, does the over-the-top Oldman wonderful performance outweigh what I've heard is one of Keanu Reeves' worst performances?
The wonderful and great Keanu is miscast in this movie. And it can be clunky. But you got a great appearances from William Campbell. You have Winona Ryder, who I think does a serviceable job. You have names I'm blanking on now, of course, and of course the inimitable Anthony Hopkins in what I feel is one of the best Van Helsings. I love his Van Helsing in this movie.
Okay.
And if you want to watch this movie, you watch it for Oldman and for Hopkins, and you watch it for that Van Helsing. But the other thing is that Coppola, being Coppola, committed to. He didn't want to do a lot of special effects or computer-like FX work. He said he really wanted to film special effects like they would have done in the day, because it's a period-accurate piece. In the day for...
So like the movies were filmed in 1875.
Right.
Yeah.
But they did things like when they would do weird moments where like rats walking across the ceiling as characters are passing underneath them, and not clinging to the ceiling, but walking in a gravity-defying manner. So they would literally flip the camera over, mat out the upper half, film a rat moving across the set piece, turn the camera over, mat out the top half, and then film the scene with the others, so
non-digital. They actually
exactly, and he does some truly amazing practical effects work, and it's visually, once again, go back to there. It's a very visually interesting movie, and I definitely recommend. And it's October.
It's October, so watch yourself some Dracula.
Yeah.
Hey, now we're on the subject. It is October, so,
yes, sir.
So horror movies. I know we talked about some of the 80s ones and stuff, but like as far as like just classic horror movies, what would you recommend people watch in October?
Well, I mean, I always talk about Universal, and because for me that was October. Growing up as a kid, there were always late night weekend showings for the Universal horror movies and their Hammer offspring. So I'm always enamored of those. I remember Halloween. I remember Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street coming out, but it's funny, for me, those slasher movies are not as a part of Halloween.
Yeah, I don't have as much interest in the slasher ones. Yeah. I do kind of want to watch Reanimator again this season. I haven't seen that in a while. Although, it's been a few years.
But it's funny, too, having met and researched Jeffrey Combs in, like, my Star Trek work, seeing the baby-faced, childlike Jeffrey Combs in Reanimator blows my fucking mind. Because it was like, holy shit, people. He was that young one time. I read a review as a side note. Somebody watched Blade Runner for the first time, and one of the comments was an absurdly young Harrison Ford, which is so funny. Exactly, you're making
absurdly young Harrison Ford.
You're making the same face I did when I read that.
The absurdly young Harrison Ford is American Graffiti.
Exactly. Yeah, it was really funny because I read that and I was like, wow. I guess for some people. The cranky action hero telling people to get off his plane is...
Blade Runner's after...
Yes.
Star Wars.
Yeah, in Star Wars he was 34 when they filmed it. So yeah. Yeah, he was a latecomer. Yeah. Definitely for older actors is a shining light of hope for, I can actually I can actually make it still, even though I'm now in my 30s. Oh my God, aged.
Yeah. Well, he is a man too. If it was a woman, forget it.
True enough. So, but yeah.
I derailed you, pillowed you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Lamentations was my last note for things I specifically wanted to talk about.
I threw in the horror movie thing just, to try and fill it out.
Well, yeah, I try to watch Hammer Horror and Universal stuff. They did when Stephen Sommer did his big Van Helsing movie, and so Universal tried to put out their DVD collections where you would get a number of Dracula movies with Dracula and stuff. And I try to go through them every October. I don't always do it, but and especially the later ones, because I think that is where you learn a lot about some of the modern conventions, like Dracula bursting into flame or falling into a powder in sunlight.
Right.
Bits like that, which were not part of Bram Stoker's book and were not in the original movie. One note I will make, if you get a chance, if you're a fan of the older movies, try to get a hold of a good Dracula DVD or Blu-ray, Bela Lugosi Dracula, which includes the Spanish language Dracula. This was really funny.
This is back before they would dub them. This is when they would reshoot.
Right, and there was plenty of money to be made in Spanish language countries.
Right,
Latin
so they would reshoot the whole movie on set.
Yep.
With the actors speaking the language.
Well, with Spanish actors, and it was funny because they shot at night. During the day, you would shoot your English language Dracula, and then the Spanish people would move in at night and shoot the Spanish language version. And it's really funny. So you get the same set pieces, a lot of the same costuming, but the mood, the tone, and various aspects of the movie, even with a Spanish translated script, is different.
And it's not Bella, it's somebody else.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
it's a popular
because I know
Spanish actor at the time.
I'm trying to think.
Spanish
It's is it the Marx Brothers or the? There's some of those movies where they actually have the same actors reading the lines over again. I think the Warren Hardy movies. When the Warren Hardy started doing talkies, they would actually phonetically, or I guess maybe they spoke Spanish. I don't know.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah, so that's a weird thing to watch. You can find that on YouTube.
That would be incredibly weird. That would be very interesting too. Yeah. And of course, also the other thing with Dracula is there is a Philip Glass soundtrack version. So, along, because I think he did that with Dracula. Unless I'm totally crossing my signals, because there's also I believe it's Metropolis. They did a
yes, they did. Yeah,
a Philip Glass.
I was sorting through my DVDs and ran across Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter, so I'm going to be watching that again this October.
Oh, you know what? I would love to borrow that from you. Okay. That was on Netflix for a time.
Was it really?
I had it marked to watch.
Wow.
I finally was like, I'm going to watch Captain Kronos today. And, of course, it was no longer.
We've seen that together, though, right?
No.
No? Have you never seen it?
No, I've not seen Captain Kronos.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, we've talked about it plenty of times.
Oh, man.
We even watched a few back when gaming was at your place. You and I actually watched a few DVDs, Hammer Horror stuff, and stuff like that.
Yes.
We never got to Captain Kronos.
Oh, we will now.
And I've heard stuff about it. I'm interested in that.
It's not amazing, but it is very interesting stylistically. And,
right.
Yeah.
That's what, that pretty much sums up what I've heard from other sources. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's your other sources?
Email us email us. Comments at uglycouchshow.com. Let us know what you're going to be doing for this October. And next week we should be back with
the real Geek Shock.
Yes, a better, faster, stronger Master Torgo. A well-rested and thoroughly vacationed 80s Jeff. And the 1%er top income earning Maple Leaf Matt.
Yeah. And I'll try and bring the pillow out when there's 5 people. With 2 people, it's hard to pull the pillow out.
You know, then
I couldn't spill anything. I couldn't trip over wires.
Personal. It feels personal.
Yeah, then it's like an attack.
Yeah.
Just brutal.
I am Commander K.
I am Fact Check Dandy.
And
this is sort of Geek Shock.
Yes, do the construction paper with Scotch tape.
Yeah.
Put together DIY.
This is the episode of Geek Shock that you can tape to your refrigerator.
Yeah. and
pretend you like.
Yeah, pretend you like. Yeah.
Oh no, it's just as good as the other episodes. Really, no, it's fine.
That's right.
No, it's very sweet. It's very sweet.
I think our icon might want to be a short bus or something. So yeah, we'll see you next week in the Weekend Geek.
All right.